Good morning and welcome to all our listeners, both in Trinidad and Tobago and worldwide, and all of those who are listening to this program on the various platforms. And let me remind our brothers and sisters out there that this is an interactive program. Of course, you can call anytime during the program to the numbers that are on your screen, 663-2335 and 663-1027, and you can interact with us here at the program. And to let our listeners also know that this program will be repeated again at 10 p.m. tonight on the same radio and television station. And soon after the live program, it will be posted on Facebook and YouTube for anyone who wishes to go back and refer to the program or to share it with anyone else. All you have to do is type in my name, Ramnaresh Dwarika, and it will take you straight to that platform. And today we are very fortunate again that we have Beverly Morson, who is the administrative director of the Serenity Place. It's a rehab center for women located in Cochrane Village near Point 14. And I know she's a very busy person, but she has consented to come back and do a part 2 on this program today. On the last occasion, we spoke quite a bit. She shared some of her personal information, how she came to become involved with drugs and in the field of drug rehabilitation. And I know that she has been doing human service, not only at Serenity Place, but at other institutions that we had the good fortune of working together at the Caribbean Institute on Alcoholism and Drug Addiction. And I know Beverly has been involved in so many other voluntary efforts to help people, especially women who have had problems with drug and drug addiction. But before I go to Beverly this morning, I want to just comment on the videos that we saw just in the lead up to this program. And first, let me thank Francis and the people at the television station who sourced these very, very relevant and videos that has so much information packed in them. You know, this morning, the video was speaking about the relationship between exercise and the people in recovery. And I saw Beverly shaking her head while the video was being played. And I know she agrees with a lot of what was being said. I just want to add to that there are so many other dimensions to exercise, you know, because remember when a person has been using drugs, they're not eating properly, they're not sleeping properly, they're not taking care of their health, they're not on whatever supplements they need to take, they're not exercising because they live a very unstructured life. So not only the brain suffers with alcoholism and drug addiction, this is the only disease that the entire person suffers. You know, with other illnesses or bacteria, you may just get diarrhea or you may have a little fever. But with alcoholism and drug addiction, the entire person and those around them suffer as well. Because as human beings, we are bio, psycho, social, spiritual beings. And drug addiction affects all 4 areas. So coming back to the exercise, when a person stop using drugs and they get involved in doing physical exercise. And as I say this, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be in a gym. I mean, if you have access to a gym, that's good because the exercise is structured to target all your muscle groups and so on. But even gardening, even sports, all the other things that you enjoy do will have an element of exercise. And I know that in various treatment centers that I have worked at and Beverly is involved in, that occupational therapy, physical activities is part of the routine. And so that you can also get your exercise when you help to clean up the place, when you tend to the plants, when you become, you know, helpful in assisting, even in washing the pots and pans, you get physical exercise. You understand? But along with the physical exercise, you also develop other disciplines, you know, the ability to be patient, the ability to deal with your anger, the ability to resolve conflicts, the ability to become selfless. All of those are tied in with your exercise, depending on how you're doing it. But finally, I want to say that, you know, anyone will notice that when you're stressed out, you don't feel to go to the gym. You don't feel to do anything. And the breath pattern, one's breath pattern is in a particular rhythm when you are angry, when you are stressed out. But exercise actually causes you to change your breath pattern. And we know for the longest while that our emotions are linked to our breathing patterns. So, finally, to say that, once you start exercising, you take your mind away from your own troubles, you know, and you change your breath pattern, you are going to find relief. So, let me not waste any more time, but to welcome Beverly. Good morning and welcome again to the program, Beverly. And
Good morning, Mr. Dwarka, and good morning to all our listeners and viewers. It's a pleasure to be here again to discuss this very important situation with regards to addiction and recovery.
I
Thank
know,
you for having me.
yes, on the last occasion we stopped the program, you had shared your life experiences. You spoke about how you got involved in the center, treatment and rehabilitation center at Serenity Place. And we had ended the program by letting people know how they can access the program. I just want to recap that. If someone listening to our program this morning, especially women, since your center is about helping women, and I know there's a great demand out there, and there's a drastic shortage of treatment facilities for women, even with all these few centers that we have. So that a person out listening to the program and would like to access treatment at Serenity Place. If you could go back and review what is the procedure, Beverly?
Okay, Mr. Dwarka, thank you. Coming to Serenity Place, first to begin, you have to want to come. You have to agree that you have a problem. You have to admit to yourself that you have a problem and you need help. Once you decide that you need help, that's half of the problem solved, I would say.
Right.
And I gave the numbers out last week. You can call 794-7980 or 328-6298, and you will speak with me, Beverly Morson, and we will discuss how what is your situation. And our main criteria for entry is you must have a complete medical done. So we need to know what medical problems you may have, whether it's diabetes, whether it's hypertension, whether it's HIV. We need to know. You have to be medically cleared to enter into the center, because we have other women here and we don't want any contamination to take place. So the main criteria for entry is that complete medical.
If I may,
Following
yeah.
that, go
If I
ahead.
may, Bev, from practical experience working out there in the field, I know a lot of relatives, they just wish to get this problem out of their face.
Yes,
Person.
agreed.
And they
Yes,
will
yes.
pressure, even though the person may not have a level of insight or motivation for recovery, but the relatives would threaten them and say, look, you either go for treatment or we'll put you out in the road. I had that
Yes,
experience when I was at Piparo.
yes.
So you may have people who saying, look, I want to do something about it, but it is because they are either pressured by their family or the police or their employer and so on. So I wanted to throw that in.
Yes, I agree. They might be in the pre-contemplation or contemplation stage,
Right.
but a lot of times it is as a result of family members or support people or their jobs or whoever, you know, and that would push them in that place to say, okay, I don't want to lose my job, so let me go and get treatment, you know. But people like that, very few of them come to the program and really be a success. You have few who would come in because sometimes they don't know what treatment is about. They think you be lie down on a bed and it's a set of needles sticking in your ear on medication. Some people don't have an idea of what treatment is about. So you have those who would come in against their will, But when they recognize what the help is just about interacting and sharing, and they tend to recognize, but wait, I can do this. This is not so hard. I can do this. And they would stay and they would do it, and some of them would be successful, but that is very few and far between.
I know relatives have the expectation, just take this one, take her, and when you're finished, whatever you do, and when she come back, she's going to be a completely different human being, like how she used to be before she started to use drugs. And and I know they have that expectation, and they also sometimes they're really up to the nose, dealing with the behavior of the person and the embarrassment in the community. So I know that a lot of relatives would wish, to get the person into treatment. Now,
Yes.
I'm aware that a lot of people, even then, they come, but in the center, I know because of the counseling and the small group therapy and all of that, even though people may come in denial, but these processes that you have, can help a person now to develop insight from which they will develop motivation to. So even though they may come unwilling, and I've seen most of the people, I would say, who come to treatment, they're not sure whether they want to stop or if they could stop, or some of them downright they're just doing it because they have to. But I think when you have good counselors and you have a good program, it can even take people from denial. The small group, I think, has that ability to help people to develop insight. And so you can tell
I
me how
agree
you
with
do
that.
some of this.
I agree with that, Mr. Dwarka, because sometimes they come in against their will, like you rightfully said, and they would develop the insight. And even if they leave before readiness and they go out, they remember, right, that they were in a program that was helping, and they would come back and do it very good the second time around. So you have it is important. Everybody deserves a chance. So even if they come and they're not ready, I still allow them in the program to see what the program is about, to see what they will take away from,
Right.
so it is important that everybody gets an opportunity to come into the program and recognize what it is and see how best they can gain insight in better in their lives and stuff like that. Now, our
Yeah.
program is a therapeutic community approach to treatment, where it is about woman helping woman to help herself, right? And we have a daily structure that starts at 6 a.m. and ends at 10 p.m. in the night. They have several breaks in between, you know?
So it's not like coming going on a holiday.
No, it's not a rest and relax program or lie down and sleep program. It's not like that. It's not a watch TV program. You come in, right? And you have things to do during the day. From
So,
Monday to Friday, it's a full program.
so
Saturdays and Sundays,
a typical day at Serenity Place would be like,
it's like, okay. So the day starts at 6 a.m. with feet on the floor,
okay.
right? Once you
What do
have
you mean
feet on
by
the
feet on the floor?
Okay, feet on the floor is wake up. It's more or less wake up. We have somebody called a chief,
Right.
right? The chief is a job function. That person is responsible for ensuring that every other client is at every session on time. So
Perfect.
5 minutes before 6, they will wake up, put on the lights, and say feet on the floor. That's time to wake up.
Right.
And feet on the floor means that you get up, you sit on your bed, and your feet on the floor. So
Oh,
it's not like, okay, I get up and you open your eyes and you're still in your bed. You get up, you put your feet on the floor, and that's called feet on the floor. So everybody has to be on time for all sessions. So at 6 a.m., it's feet on the floor. At 6:15, we have prayer circle, where everybody comes together in the therapeutic community room, and they hold hands and they have prayers. They say prayers. That starts the day.
right.
After the prayer circle, some days we have the exercise is morning walks going out of the compound,
Yeah.
and then you have gardening on other days.
Okay.
right? Some days you have exercise indoor where they do, like they do little push-ups, little aerobics, little things like that. And then we also have gardening after that, where we have a little kitchen garden. They tend to the plants like you were talking about earlier, right? And then after that, they prepare themselves for what we call departmentals. Departmentals is simply what we call chores, right? Everybody is assigned to an area. Who has the kitchen, who has the bathroom, who has the TC, who has the dorms. Everybody is assigned to an area when it comes to departmentals. After departmentals, they shower and prepare themselves for breakfast.
Right.
Breakfast is at 8:15, and after breakfast, we have something called pre-morning meeting and morning meeting. This is a meeting that sets the pace for the day. It sets up the client to go through the day. So during morning meeting, what we have is pull-ups, right? Where they pull up one another about offenses they may have committed, leaving stuff all around, that kind of thing, and they pull up one another, meaning they give each other a teaching for whatever behaviors they may have portrayed or offenses they may have committed. Right? And at the second half of morning meeting, they have affirmations where they affirm each other about how well they did or how well they're doing in the program, how well they looked, whether the meals was nicely prepared, how well they keep the bed. It's affirming each other. Right. And then they have where they sing, they dance, they give a joke, they do a reading. That's to break the ice from the pull-up. The person might feel embarrassed by a pull-up, may feel down by a pull-up. So before the meeting ends, we have singing and dancing and that kind of thing. Right? After morning meeting, every day have different sessions. We have some days we have peer confrontation, some days we have relationship and sexuality, some days we have public speaking, we have different things, right? And then after lunch, we have activity. Lunch is at 12. And then we have activity where we play games, different types of games they play, right? And we sit and process how they feel through the game, what they learn, and that kind of thing. And then we will have other sessions like art therapy, art and music. We have different things like show off, where they make something and they show off. So they at 3 p.m., that's off the floor, off structure. That's where they have time to rest, and they get up at 5 and they prepare themselves for dinner. And after dinner, sometimes between 4 to 5, we may have someone come in and do spirituality sessions with them from different religious organizations, would come in and do a 1-hour spirituality, helping them to go understand that God is still alive and to rebuild a relationship with God. And then at 6 o'clock is dinner. And after dinner, they watch the news at 7 p.m. Everybody must sit and watch the news. And at 7:30, we do what is called wrap up. Wrap up is they wrap up the day. They talk about what your high point was, what your low point was. If you offended anybody, that's your opportunity to say, I'm sorry, and what you learned for the day. You also have to say a piece of the news that will tell us that you looked at the news, And after that, then they have another prayer circle, and it's TV time for those who want to go to TV, and that's it. And at 10 o'clock, it's bedtime.
Right. So I'm listening to you again, and I'm also remembering, I used to be director at Piparo, which is also a therapeutic community, so I could identify with a lot of things, and I could even complement some of what you are saying for listening brothers and sisters there. You will notice that it is a very structured life.
Yes.
Once you enter a therapeutic community, it is a very structured life. And why? Because when a person was out there on the streets or wherever they're using their drugs, they live like we say in Trinidad, Sunday could fall on Monday. Very unstructured. You understand? Sleep when you want, get up when you want, keep things anyhow, not take care of yourself. So just to embellish some of what you were saying, I know at Piparo, we had the same feet on the floor means the nightman would come down the corridor, and once he say feet on the floor, when he's coming back, if you are still on your bed, you get consequences for that. You
Yes.
understand? And there was also the whole question of you have to be very meticulous in how you're making up your bed, how you're folding your clothes. Shoes has to be put with the toes facing inside. And people will wonder, well, I mean, why all of this detail? Because fact of the matter is, when a person stop using drugs, the people around them are looking to see what changes they are making. And these
Yes.
would be the visual changes that they will see, how you make up your bed, you're getting up on time. You know, we used to have 5 minutes bathroom time showers, and when you left the bathroom, you had to clean it and leave it as you met it.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
so there's a
Yes.
lot of little details there because we want to reintroduce them to the real world again. And at
To
the
put some order,
yes,
back in their life,
right.
some good orderly direction.
Right. And at the root of addiction, Bev, is discipline, you know. If
Yes.
the addicted
Yes.
person is indisciplined, is the person who is
Yes.
making all kind of plans and can't go through with them. So
Agreed.
this is where you now submit to a system, a structure, and you learn that, look, it's not so difficult, you know. And I know that if you would if you would tell us a little bit about the pull-ups, why pull-ups, you know, because I have found a lot of people find that strange because addicts and alcoholics, when they're out there, they lie. They don't ever own up and take responsibility. So, like for some one of your clients spilled some sugar on the kitchen floor, or made a mess somewhere, or threw away a bottle somewhere, or garbage, and nobody was watching, right? And because of that's the way they live outside there, you know, somebody else may notice it, and they put it in your book in the morning as a pull up. And I remember how they used to say it, you know, who is the person that spilled
Yes.
sugar on the floor in the kitchen this morning? And of course, nobody will want to own up, because if you own up, there are consequences, you know, you get a tongue
Yes.
lashing. And what would happen? And this is what I found very intriguing, even when I went to a therapeutic community for the first time. You know, what would happen is one of the elders would stand up, since the guy who did it doesn't have the maturity or the level of integrity yet to stand up and take responsibility for what they did. One of the older members who were there would stand up, and everybody would get him the tongue lashing, the teaching. But the thing is, he know and everybody know he didn't do it. But the person who did it is sitting in the audience, and going through feelings. Boy, look how they insulting this guy for something that I did. You understand? And he goes through a crisis of conscience. And then over time, what they realize, it's not such a big thing. You know, people make mistakes, and it's not a big thing to own up and accept that you
So
have made a
yes,
mistake. You know?
agreed. So it's important. The teaching is important. And the thing about pull-ups, now, like you said, outside there, they're doing anything, anyhow, anytime, any day, how they want. And people usually pull them down. People
Right,
usually tell them degrading things, push them in corners,
right,
embarrass them. And
right,
so in the therapeutic community, that's why we call it pull up. We no longer pulling you down, we pulling you up to
correct.
let you understand that what you're doing is not acceptable and it doesn't help you to go forward in your recovery. So we pull you up, we give you a teaching and we let you know, listen, leaving the glass on the table, and we take it to the extreme. Leaving the glass on the table, somebody could pass and bounce the table, the glass fall down and break, and another person who might be a diabetic might walk and get cut and lose their foot. So that is the extent of your irresponsible behavior. So we want you to take responsibility for your action and we pull you up. Now, when people come to Serenity Place, I let them know once you walk in that gate, you have given up your right to do what you want because you have been doing what you want while you were outside. You did
Right.
what you want and it landed you in here. So now it's not about your way or my way, it's the way it needs to be done. So
Correct.
as you enter the program now, you are doing things the way it needs to be done. So it's important. So it's all about discipline and putting good, orderly direction in your life. It's just about putting back God in your life. That's all it is about. It's not a big thing, but some people make a fuss because for years they practice the wrong thing. So it's going to take a long time for them to unlearn those and relearn the things that they knew before they went into drugs.
And as you're saying that, what going through my mind is that, one of the problems with people who have become addicted, you know, on drugs and all of that, there's a tendency to rationalize, to make excuses for
Yes,
themselves
yes,
to the
yes.
extent where they lie to themselves so much that they believe the lies.
Believe, yes,
Yeah,
agree.
and so they do not learn what is called consequential thinking. That look, if
Thinking,
I
no,
do
no.
this, this can happen. It can cause that. Like the glass example you gave. They
Yes,
do not think. They always think, well, I could use it this time, and I could get away. Nobody will know.
yes. Hmm.
And I'm not realizing how many times in the past you have done this and got yourself into trouble. So, in one of the big lessons in the therapeutic community is to start learning consequential thinking. And even in
Thinking,
the
yes.
center, I know that there are consequences for behavior. If you
Of
do the
course,
wrong
of
thing,
course.
you know,
Yes.
there are consequences that range from, well, all kinds of consequences you can have. You're losing your weekend pass. You can
You lose your phone calls,
you
you
lose your
lose your
phone call,
visits.
your privileges. Yes.
Yes.
What are some of the consequences you have at your center there?
Yes, all those are included. We have had a woman who always, every time she takes off her shoes is always out of whack all over the place. She leaves the shoes. We make her put all the shoes in a bag and carry it for 5 or 7 days.
Okay.
You know, she walks with the bag everywhere she goes. You know, we have things like you're late for meals, you stand up.
Right.
You stand up and have your meal. Or if you're late too many times, you're late for breakfast, you get your breakfast for lunch. You're late for lunch, you get your lunch for dinner. And
Right.
that encourages them to be punctual and to be on time. We have your wooden, you get up from the table and you don't push in your chair and you don't clear your table mat. You get butler duties where now you have to clear everybody's table mat and push in everybody's chair. That teaches you then, okay, so now your untidy bed, you will get a consequence to make all the beds in the dorm.
So it's a it's a,
So
it's a little bit
it
of
goes with the offense.
right. So it's a little bit of boot camp as well.
Yeah, the consequence have to go with the offense, according to
Right.
the offense. And
Because
that is how learning takes place.
yeah, I know where I did my training at Datop International, they in the early days when Datop now started, they would actually shave your hair off your head. This for the men.
Yes,
You
yes,
understand? And so that you wouldn't forget. And I also remember there was a consequence where they had this little billboard, like when you advertise
mhm,
in things that you
right.
share, and you would go around and on it is written that please help me. I have difficulty
Yes,
taking
yes.
responsibility for
I
things.
read in Ellie. I
Yes,
read in Ellie. And they had the one where they pushed the trolley around. You had to push the trolley around,
yes.
saying that you're sorry and
And
you
then,
had your peers, and the please help me, and the peers would respond and say, hang tough.
right. And then I think that one of the worst consequences is when you get to be spare parts. Spare parts
Yes,
is that anybody can ask you to do anything legitimate that is.
anything. And
Yeah,
you have
and
no choice. You have to do it.
you have to do it. And of
Yes,
course, beyond that, you can get dismissed from the program. For instance,
yes.
there are some offenses I am aware that if you bring drugs on the compound, or if
The
you take
cardinal
drugs,
rules. Once you break the cardinal rules.
yes, you will be discharged from the program. There's no
Yes.
discretion there. But then there are people who still, in spite of all of this, drug addicts and alcoholics are generally tend to be rebellious. They don't respond
Yes.
too well to authority. And I know at Piparo, when a new person came, we would have them sit on this what we call a prospect chair.
Prospect chair.
Yeah,
Yes.
facing the wall. And we'll let them stay there. They'll get their food there. If they have to use the washroom, they'll be taken to the washroom by a big brother. In that, well, at Piparo, we only had men.
Yes.
So it was a big brother who will take you, and you were not allowed the run of the whole facility until you qualified yourself. You convinced them that, look, yeah, I'm serious now. I'm here.
I'm ready.
And you have to convince two people who are in recovery and one member of staff. It was like
Yes.
an interview, and you really can't fool those people who are in recovery.
Of course not.
You understand? They are experts, and they can tell
Yes.
whether you're serious or not. And it is
Mhm.
all for your own good. And Bev, I want to say from the research, the therapeutic community model has proven to be one of the most successful models in terms of treatment and rehab, because
I totally agree.
it is structured like a family where you are actually like the mother of the house, as
Hmm.
the director. It's like a family, and you treat your members as a family. You develop relationships there where people feel safe, that they can come and talk to you. They can cry. They can, again, regain, their emotions. They can be themselves. And,
Yes, agreed. Agreed, because it is a family. Because when you stand up in morning meeting, you
yeah,
say, "Good morning, family. I
right,
am Beverly M." You
right,
know, and you
right,
must say everything has to do with family because it's a family. And when
right.
one member of the family is affected or is hurt, the entire family is affected.
And so you see, this is aside from I've worked in other treatment and rehab settings, Cora and all of that. I'm not decrying any one of those, but in the therapeutic community model, not only the patients are allowed, have to follow the rules, the staff has to follow the rules too,
Also,
you know,
agreed.
and you as
Hmm.
the head, you have to set the example. There's a added
Yes,
pressure on you to live the life so that the
yes,
people under your charge can see your example, and you can speak to them with conviction. So it's a good thing
yes,
for
agreed.
everyone, you know?
Because staff also can be pulled up.
Yes,
Staff also can be pulled up and confronted
yes,
in
yes,
a peer confrontation group.
yes,
Because we are not perfect, we don't have all the answers,
right,
right?
right.
So we may fall short at times and we need to be pulled up. And once residents recognize, but hey, we're not alone. Yes, staff is being also pulled up. They tend to conform more. They tend to look, okay, this is not so bad because it's not like the staff up there and I'm down here. It's together, we are family.
Bev, let me say this, and I know when we're talking, I'm watching the clock on the wall, we have few more minutes. But when you have a conversation, like time is always flying. But I have looked at the
Yes,
therapeutic community model, and it is like a clock. Every
yes,
part has to work in tandem with the
together.
other part.
Yes,
Every system feeds into the
yes,
other, and it can self-regulate, because even though
yes.
you hide and do something, you will eventually be found out. The model,
Agreed.
the model has the built-in into it, like the pull-ups and all of that, to the extent
Mhm.
where it takes people over time, in a very short time. A person who used to be very dishonest, very irresponsible, becomes very honest and responsible and caring, and start, instead of being selfish and self-centered, which is one of the big issues for addicts and alcoholics. We tend to become selfish and self-centered, rather than
And
that.
that's why in the therapeutic community, confrontation is valid. You
Yeah,
confront each other at the moment that they commit an offense. You don't leave it or pile it up. You confront them one
correct.
time so they are aware that they are doing something wrong.
What brings to my mind, I also train dogs. That's part of my hobby. And dogs have a habit. to chase down bicycle and all of that. So if
Yes.
my dog chased down the bicycle, and when he came back, I held him and shake him up and said, no, no, don't do that. He would get the wrong message. He would feel
Right.
because he left the man and came back, I am now, giving him a consequence. The important thing is to catch it in context. And I think in a lot of other treatment facilities, that doesn't happen. By the time you find out or you hear what has happened, things have gone too far.
Yes.
The behavior has deteriorated. And when, like the one rotten apple in the box of apples can spoil all the rest, it is more so in a therapeutic community. If one person is doing the wrong thing, let's suppose if one person is hiding and smoking cigarettes in a therapeutic community, eventually everybody gets to find out. And if staff is not aware of this that is happening, your whole community is getting sick right on
Yes.
the eyes, So
Yes.
it means that, it is, as I said, it is built into the system to treat with things every morning. And for those people who don't, I can share with you, being the director at Piparo, every morning there was a meeting with the staff, just like you had a
Yes.
community meeting
Right.
for the residents,
Mm-hmm.
and each staff had to report on their department and how they were doing.
Yes.
And they'd get pulled up
Yes.
right there. Staff will not get pulled up in front of the family, but they will get pulled up in the director's room. The administrative manager would be there, the clinical director would be there, the social worker, the teacher, the occupational therapist, and everything in a therapeutic community is documented.
Yes.
Every person who
Most
comes through the gate,
important.
yes, and the time and the purpose for which they were there, so that a director, when I walked in there in the morning, I can tell every single, if a pin drop that shouldn't drop
Yes.
on the floor, it would be in the point man will put it in the book. You understand? So I'm saying this to let people out there, our brothers and sisters, listen. That look, these things are not ad hoc. It is not rest and relax, as you said, bed and bath, you just come in and you sleep and you eat. And no, it is a deliberate, structured, scientifically researched program that has been tested and proven to be very effective. And as I say this again, it's a pity that Piparo has been repurposed now and is not being used. But I'm grateful at least your center is running under therapeutic community models. I also
Yes.
am aware that the Heal House has also, with Pandit there, they're also following the therapeutic community model. And I know that
That's
Heal
right.
House had looked at some of what we were doing and may have included that in their program. So before we leave, Bev, any other additional things you want to tell us about your center?
No, with Serenity Play, well, like I said last week, last episode, we are a non-governmental organization, and we get a subvention from the government every quarter. But we still look out for funding and assistance, because our building is over 60 years old, I think. And so infrastructure, we always need assistance with infrastructure and stuff like that. So any help that can be of Serenity, please, we greatly appreciate, and for feel free to call, or send me an email via beverlymorson@gmail.com, or you can call the number 794-7980 or 328-6298. You can have a discussion about your loved one that you would like to get help for.
Do you have visitors? You allow visitors to visit your facility and so on? If people would like to visit. Hello?
Yes, our visiting program is Yes, no problem. Once you call me and let me know when you want to visit, and you can come in. Or sometimes people just in the area and they stop
I know I have done that. I have done
by
that in the
just to
past.
see what we do here. That's not a problem.
Yes, whenever I'm heading down Point 14, where I usually
We welcome anybody.
stop and see.
Yes, yes, yes.
All right, so Beverly, I want to thank you very much for agreeing to come back on the program. I'm hoping on this program to be able to facilitate.
And we also do our own.
Yeah, seem like we're having a little internet problem there.
Yes.
Yes, so let me say I am really grateful
Thank
that
you
you
for
could have,
having me.
yes, you could have joined the program, and I'm hoping that in the future we could get people from other treatment houses to come in and, let our brothers and sisters out there know that help is available. All they have and how they can access it, what they can expect. All right, so I think we have just uh, lost Beverly. Oh, she's back on. So I want to thank all of those people who tuned in today and who have been listening to the program. If you have any questions, I could be reached at 671-3040, 671-3040. And to let you know, this program is repeated again at 10 p.m. tonight on radio and TV Jagriti, and it will be posted on YouTube in about the next 15-20 minutes and Facebook. So if you would like, you can look at it again, or you can use it as a resource to share it with anyone who you think may benefit. So thank you again, Beverly, and all our listeners. See you all again next week, Thursday, same time, same station. Until then, take care of yourselves and know that help is available if you need it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.